Sportswrap Overtime. Welcome in June 24th, 2025. Craig Loper, Jeff Snyder, Brian Parsons here for another edition of the show. We are in basically the thick of summer, and when
there we go. Hi.
Okay, we're back.
Sorry.
This heat advisory is no joke in the 757 right now. Stay inside because it's bad.
Yes, it's bad. It's wild to go outside at night.
Yeah.
When it's 85 degrees at 10 o'clock at night and the dew point's like at 79 and you instantly just start sweating.
It's very bad. It's very bad. So
Yeah.
take care of yourself and your animals.
Could you imagine on Thursday at noon when the Tides play the Gwinnett Stripers?
Honestly, I don't know the rules for that, but like, don't you have to like change it if it's a heat advisory?
No. You just go.
They play through it, man.
Drink that water.
They play through it.
One thing, so speaking of water, one thing that people fail to realize, when you drink too much water, you need salt as well, because you need salt for your body to retain the water. Sometimes people just, yes, exactly. So prevent the cramps and stuff. Anyway, we're going to get to a couple things on this first segment. We're going to talk NBA Finals. OKC just won it on, what was that, Sunday night?
Yep. Sunday night.
OKC, Thunder, the champions for the first time in franchise history, the most dominant team throughout the year. They take out the Pacers in 7. Good for them, but the game started off on a bad note, man. It was rough. Tyrese Halliburton popped his Achilles.
He came out and he hit like three
for 4.
pointers.
Oh, he
and
looked
one
great.
of them
3
was
for 4.
30 feet.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, all right, he's back.
He's back.
He's playing through the pain. The adrenaline's kicking in, and we're going to have ourselves a game. And we did for a half, even after he went down with the injury. When he went down, the ESPN people were very cautious about
saying it.
They would not say.
They didn't want to say it.
They didn't want to say the A word.
They didn't want to say
Achilles.
No.
But it was pretty obvious from looking at the video. I mean, you could see it snap. It was nasty.
So it was pretty obvious right away when he went down, based on, because the initial shot was, decently wide shot. You don't see it pop.
Well, no contact for one.
No contact. But then when he started pounding the floor, and I can't remember what he was mouthing. He was mouthing something. He said, I can't remember what he said, but you could read his lips.
Yeah.
And as soon as he was pounding the floor, it's like, that was when I knew officially. And then when they showed the replay and you really saw it pop.
And these guys think something's happening behind them, like somebody's made contact behind them, when that's not the case.
It just changed the whole, I don't know about you guys, it just changes the whole dynamic of the game for me. It took some air out of it. It was just going to be, I wanted like an instant classic, down to the wire. It felt like it was going to be that way. And then once he went out, I felt like Indiana could hang for the half, but then they were going to get outplayed in the second half.
Exactly.
I mean, I was hoping it was still going to be close in the second half, but it wasn't, and that's the way it is. And Oklahoma City is the champion. They were the best team in the league. They won 68 games in the regular season. Their average margin of victory was 12 points, the most in league history. They're the youngest team since the 77 Trailblazers to win the NBA championship. That was back when the late, great Bill Walton was roaming the court.
For the Blazers.
So it's... They're a deserving champion.
Yo, for sure. No,
absolutely.
Well deserved.
They were the best team all year.
Shea, regular season MVP, scoring champ, NBA Finals MVP, 4th player in NBA history to do that, joining, what was it, Kareem, Shaq, and Mike. That was just crazy to be on that list. That's a really good list. So Shea is a superstar officially. No more questioning, he is anointed,
and they earned it. They went through the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series, and there were moments in that series where honestly, I think I was telling you, Craig, in the office one day, it's like, I think the moment is getting to Oklahoma City.
Right.
I mean, there were moments in this series.
The Nuggets have been there. The Nuggets have won it.
Yeah.
Jokic knows what it's all about, knows what it's like to grind it out in these series.
Yeah.
But they were able to overcome that.
They overcame, for sure.
And then a 7-game series against Indiana. Oklahoma City going to be a prohibitive favorite in the West next year.
Right.
Kevin Durant was traded. Whatever. My feelings on that is, I don't think he's going to make a difference at all at this point in his career.
No.
The East.
The East is
where the question marks are.
Going to be wide open.
Because Jason Tatum is going to miss the entire season with an Achilles injury.
We don't know what Giannis is doing.
Tyrese Halliburton is going to miss the entire season with an Achilles injury.
And we don't know where Giannis is going to end up.
Dame's out too.
And Dame's. I mean, he's less of a factor in my opinion.
This is the moment for the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets to finally ascend to relevance of some sort.
Well, the reality is the Cavaliers should be the Eastern Conference champions next year. I think if they aren't, I'm going to be very angry.
I think Orlando's going to be very good.
Orlando's scary.
I think Orlando's a team that you need to watch out for.
Yeah.
They could make some more moves.
Miami, not really in the contention. They're not going to. Unless Pat Riley's got an ace up his sleeve somehow and gets Giannis down there.
Yeah, Boston made a move.
Boston just traded Drew Holiday today. They traded Drew Holiday for Anthony Simons out of Portland. Simons is an expiring contract. New ownership group. That's a money move. I mean,
think so?
You don't want. Oh yeah, without a doubt. They were like, Drew Holiday's owed like $72 million over the next 2 years, and they're in that second apron luxury tax. So this move puts them like $20 million under the tax, and this new ownership group basically is saying, thanks, but we're not paying it. That's how they feel. So they say ship him off to Portland. Anthony Simons comes in, expiring contract, gets cheaper. They say, and I was just watching this morning, they're going to trade Porzingis in the coming days too. Something like Porzingis is going to be out of there.
It's like the 5th time he's been traded.
They still have a team in a depleted East. They could still definitely be a contender.
I don't know if Al Horford's coming back for them. Probably. I think he's already said he's back. So, getting back to just the Thunder, man. Wow, what a run! What a run! Jalen Williams making a name for himself. I think he went to Santa Clara.
23 years old.
Is that the place that Steve Nash went?
Yeah,
Steve Nash go.
Yeah,
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Yeah.
Okay, it was
Santa Clara.
Like Presti drafted him like 12th overall out of Santa Clara. Like I don't remember when he got drafted. I'm not a huge NBA draft guy, but I can imagine people are like, who?
Yeah, well,
a lot of guys are like that.
Chet Holmgren, right. Yes, they are.
Yes, you're right.
Chet Holmgren in that same draft, I believe.
Was it really? Yeah. Holmgren was 2, and then Williams was 12th.
It's just the right. You look at it, it's like it's almost the right. It's the right way to do things, and it gives.
It is the right way to do
teams that are mired in mediocrity, even below that if you make the right moves, it can be done. It can happen.
No, because remember, what was it, like 6 years ago, they blew the team up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And 3 years ago, they won like 22 games.
They built
4
back,
years ago.
They did it the right way. They built back up through the draft. They made great moves. They make great signings, great trades.
Yeah.
This is a homegrown team.
Homegrown, yeah.
And this was incredible. Now, one thing I would like to point out, and this could make me sound...
You're going to talk about the injuries.
Not the injuries. I'm going to talk about the celebration.
What?
That needed to be harder. That needed, it seemed a little reserved.
Because they didn't touch the alcohol or something?
No, it wasn't that.
So what?
It just, like, the crowd wasn't, like when the Cavs won in 2016, right? We waited, 50 years for it?
Yeah.
And we're all going nuts. I mean, like, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. This is the first time Oklahoma City's ever won anything.
So you think the fan reaction was not on par?
I listened to the police scanner afterwards.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Was it good?
Trust me.
You do. Brian always does that. I never even think
Oklahoma City was out of control.
But I meant like in the arena.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little. Maybe it wasn't.
Now, what do you want? What do you want them to do?
Maybe it wasn't mic'd right or something. I don't know.
Honestly, they won and I turned it off. I think I watched Shea answer one question.
I think the thing with if you're referring to the team. I think with the pressure that was on this team, with the 68 wins and the point differential and the fact that they were heavy favorites, I don't think it was jubilation after they won. It was more like relief that we didn't lose and we did what we were supposed to do.
So you guys know I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I'm in a group chat. This chat with like half the guys are from OKC and Norman, Oklahoma, so they're all big fans. So we got in a debate yesterday or 2 days ago, and one of my buddies says they need to build a statue of Sam Presti. I said they're never building a statue of a GM. That's not how these things work. So I posed the question to you: do you build a statue of a GM?
Sure.
And I was like, you say yeah?
Yeah, why not?
I mean,
not now.
No, not now.
Like,
it might have to be posthumous.
I said no. Well, yeah, God, I said honestly, I'd be more open to it. I said you won 1 title. Relax. If he wins 2 more, even a second, maybe I consider it. I told them, I said, you going to build a statue of Shea first or Sam Presti? And then he was like. Some of the guys were like, oh, Presti's just been around. He's built his team and he's built it. I'm like, relax.
No.
There's no statues of GMs out there.
It's interesting if you think about this whole organization. When Kevin Durant left, who had been with the team for 8 years, and he was the face of the franchise and beloved by the community. And you think a city like Oklahoma City, they lose a player of that magnitude. It's like when we lost Dr. J with the Squires. You don't recover.
Right.
You know?
Right. Literally.
But they recovered.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City recovered. And now... Kevin who?
Yeah,
Kevin, he's always going to have an endearing place in their hearts.
Right.
But he didn't win it all.
Yeah.
No. And he was up 3-1 on Golden State, and he decided to join the enemy.
Shea stands alone now.
If you can't beat him, join him.
Shea stands alone. And KD has a very different legacy than what could have been with him in OKC. We all know that. So
absolutely.
I just don't think you build statues of GMs. I think you hang the banner.
Give him one of those little mini Iverson statues.
The 76ers style statues.
Yeah.
In the United Center for the Bulls championships, they have a Jerry Krause banner that says the years he was the GM. So, I say put a banner up, but a statue, relax.
What about coaches? You think about coaches?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, coaches, I think, deserve statues.
So Mark Daigneault, if this becomes a dynasty coach, he's going to get one?
Heck yeah.
I think we're thinking too hard about this. Also, 2 parts. I think we're thinking a little too much about it. I think, second of all, everybody seems to be getting statues. You do need to kind of maybe reserve it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the qualifications are. All I know is there's been some really bad ones in recent years.
Like the only Old Dominion statue is
Nancy
Lieberman that I can think of.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We got to switch gears here real quick. There was another champion.
I guess we should quickly, talk about this. You guys, Stanley Cup final, Florida Panthers back-to-back. They beat the Edmonton Oilers. What a win. Dominant in the series. I mean, it was close for a few games, but Florida was just a better team.
So I understand we were talking before the show. So Brad Marchand is coming back.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
He says it.
That's what he said.
I gotta believe him. Take it as word. Right?
The Conn Smythe winner was Sam Bennett.
Correct.
Didn't he have 4 goals in the game winner?
Yeah.
No, that was Sam Reinhart.
Okay.
So what's the deal with Bennett? Is he coming back?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
Because I think he's a free agent.
Yeah, I think he's planning. I think they're planning on keeping the team together. They have the cap space to pretty much have whoever they want back.
Yeah.
So
you got to run it back till you lose, right?
Exactly. We've had 3 back-to-back Stanley Cup champions in the last 10 years. The Penguins did 16-17. The Lightning did
John Cooper and the Lightning
2020 and 2021.
And then now with the Florida Panthers.
Right.
This is the best chance we could see for a three-peat.
Interesting. Yeah.
If
you're ownership, pay whatever, man. Keep the guys together. You got to run it back. You owe them. You owe your fans that. You owe the team that.
I mean, they were a dominant team.
One of the best teams probably ever assembled. They were so good all the way around. You see Alexander Barkov, the captain. I mean, he was phenomenal.
I feel like one guy I heard less about this year was Tkachuk. Like, and he's a great player for him.
He was still playing though.
I know, but I feel like last year you heard a lot about Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah. This year you didn't hear about him.
He was hurt in the Four Nations tournament, and I don't think he fully recovered from it. But he was still around. He was still scoring goals. He was still helping. He was a key contributor on this team.
All right.
They are just so well rounded.
Yeah.
And all assets of the game. They have a great goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yes.
Yeah.
The defense is incredible. I mean, it would have been hard for anybody to beat them, much less an Edmonton Oilers team with 2 of the best players in the world. I mean,
I'm not the biggest hockey fan or aficionado by any means, but it felt like, from an outside perspective looking in, it felt like Edmonton was so reliant on McDavid and the other guy, I forget his name.
Leon Draisaitl.
Thank you, Draisaitl. Mm-hmm. But then just Florida was the overall better team, top to bottom. Like, outside of Draisaitl and McDavid, Edmonton just didn't have the horses.
No,
and even some of the games that Edmonton won, we're talking about ridiculous comebacks, down 3 goals to force overtime.
Vegas, that's a key indicator. Is like they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens now with the Oilers. McDavid gave his exit interview, and he said, "I'm going to talk it over with my family."
He just changed agents. So read into that, if you will.
He's gone.
I saw Steve Levy talking about that. He just changed agents.
1 year left on his contract. I think he asked for a trade.
Wow.
Absolutely think he asked for a trade, and they'll get anything they want for him. It just depends who's going to be able to flip for him.
Interesting.
Who has the cap space and to sign him to a massive deal afterward.
That'd be breaking news, major headliner if it happens. Yep. So, okay, so we're gonna get to our next topic, I guess, here pretty soon.
Yeah, well, we're gonna take a break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about how difficult it is to win a state high school championship, because it is hard. And we're going to be joined by an actual state champion coach himself, Pete Zell, the head coach of the Ocean Lakes Dolphins baseball team, who defeated Cox to win the Class 5 state title, first in school history. That's coming up after the break. All right, welcome back to Sportswrap OT. I'm Brian Parsons, along with Craig Loper and Jeff Snyder manning the controls over there. We have a special guest. He is the state champion high school coach from Ocean Lakes High School. Pete Zell led the Dolphins to the Class 5 baseball state championship. Coach, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, so tell me, how difficult is it to win a state title?
A lot of things got to go right for you. So we play a monster schedule during the year. We play the Coxes, the FCs of the world during the year. Then we go down and we take a road trip down to South Carolina where we kind of test our mettle. We open up down there with a team called James Island. They ended up being the number 9 team in the country. And they got us on target lock as we come in town, and we take the lead 1-0 in this opener of this tournament. And then they hit 2 440-foot home runs off of our guys, and let you know that we can play down here too.
So what kind of team is this that we're talking about that you played against? Is this like a one of those academies, or is it just a team that kind of?
They're just a kind of a powerhouse private school.
Oh, it's a private school, so they can. They're picking.
What part of South Carolina was that tournament?
They're Charleston.
And
so they ended up winning the Charleston State Championship down there. And I think they finished ranked number 9 in the country in one of the polls.
Yeah.
But they had dudes. They had Alabama commit. They had Auburn commit. They had
What kind of fortitude does that build? Like, you go down there and you play them. Did your team come out differently after that?
Yeah.
Like,
so
that was a new challenge.
Yeah. We go down there. We play these guys, and we are we're in this game. It's 9-8 late. We're back and forth, and then they just kind of pull away from us in the 7th. And then the next game that we face is another powerhouse team from South Carolina, another private school, Bishop England, who's won multiple state championships. And we put it on them pretty good. And we were just like, okay, we can play too. Mm-hmm. Then we end up going to play Providence, North Carolina, who won the national championship 3 or 4 years ago. We took a team down there and we played them in their national championship season. And I think we maybe played them the closest game of them all. Mm-hmm. We lost 3-1 in the same tournament down there when they won the national championship. I think they won 27-0.
Yeah. How do you get these games? How do you schedule these games?
It's the Hanahan Invitational Tournament, and it's just where the big boys go to play. And
do you have any connection with like the director?
Yeah, we've been going for years.
Okay,
and we've been taking our lumps for years over there. And so, like, Great Bridge goes down there and they got a really good team and they go 1-3. Mm-hmm. Western Branch goes down there, they got a really good team and they go 1-2.
Right.
So you go down there and we ended up going 2-1.
Yeah.
We lost that James Island team, but you just come back better.
Yeah.
And it's not counting against your district or your record.
Oh, it does?
But I mean, not against
your district
standings or things like that.
That counts in everything.
Oh.
So like, we go down there, right? And, and in baseball, all games count now.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it used to be, like you said, where you'd go down there and it'd almost be like a scrimmage game or a non-district game, and it wouldn't affect your stand. Everything counts.
Okay.
And so you just weigh it in and you take the good with the bad. So even if you're going to get a couple of losses down there, when you go to these things, you know that your medal will be tested.
Okay.
And we're going to go down there and play it anyways.
Yeah. So you leave that tournament, kind of talk to us about your season up to that point or after that point and through the playoffs.
Yeah. So we headed down to the spring break tournament and we were still kind of getting healthy. We started off the season with our right fielder being banged up, Donovan Nagel, and we started off with our third baseman, Turner Cool, and he was banged up. So we're just kind of starting to get healthy. And so then we come back from the tournament and now we're getting healthy. We've won a couple of big games against some big teams. And now all of a sudden, we feel like we can play. We come back and I think we come back and we have a close game against First Colonial, 1-0, barn burner. We have a close game against Cox, 2-1. And then we just kind of get rolling.
Yeah.
And, we start putting things together. Our guys starting to feel it, starting to believe it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then then it comes down to playoff time. And here we go. Playoff time, we get Princess Anne in the first round of the playoffs. Princess Anne's good, solid team. Mm-hmm. And, their pitcher has an off day and we get it rolling. Mm-hmm. Next game is supposed to be First Colonial, defending state champions. All right, they got 12 seniors back. Here they go, ready to roll. And they just kind of caught a hot Kempsville team on a day.
Okay.
And so Kempsville upsets them in the semifinals or the quarterfinals.
Right.
And so instead of us getting FC and a collision course against two really good teams, we get the hot Kempsville team. Mm-hmm. And so they come over to our place and we play them and
that's in the region semis.
Region semis.
So let's talk about that for a second. Yeah. Now, when you get to that point, now the winner of this game
is going to state.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
region semi weighs heavy.
Yeah, it's the heavy. It's the biggest game of the year.
That's the game
for all the marbles.
Right.
So now we're playing Kempsville, and they come out and they score one on us in the first, and you can see that they are feeling it, man. Mm-hmm. They are feeling it. They got all the momentum. They just beat FC. They come over to our place. They score one at the top of the first, and we score nothing in the bottom of the first. Top of the second comes out there. We wiggle out of a jam, maybe like second and third, 2 outs, and we get out of it. Then the next inning, the floodgates opened up. We walks and hit by pitches and a couple base hits and a couple things. And then I think their pitcher threw 57 pitches that inning.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
It's something crazy. And we
scored. Clocking that one.
It's like the Mookie Wilson at bat in the 86 World Series. You know what I'm talking about? Was that Sherrati, I think?
Yeah, I think we ended up scoring 7 in that inning, and then we just kind of pulled away from there.
Yeah. Is momentum real?
It isn't, with high school kids, they're just so emotional. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just, man, you just, you in baseball, it feels like, when things are going good, man, they keep going. And then when you're spiraling, man, it is a tough hole to dig out of.
Yeah. And not to get off track, but was it the Arkansas LSU game?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Where it was 5-3. They had 4 chances to end that inning,
and it just all.
There was a bad throw to first.
Yeah.
There was the
throw to third where he could have turned
the easy out at third instead of the double play.
Yeah.
When the guy slipped in the outfield and the ball got away, and then the liner to second.
The soft liner jumped too early, and he jumped too early. I mean, but
is that momentum? Is that the moment?
It felt like just the baseball gods were against Arkansas right there, especially the one, because the force out at third. you don't know if he's going to turn 2 because it wasn't hit all that hard.
Okay.
It's going to be borderline. But then the one to left field where, he just got one of their toughest, hard-nosed, salt of the earth program guys. And he just misjudged it, and it almost looked like he lost it in the lights because he didn't even get a glove on it.
No,
and it hits him in the shoulder.
He stumbled and it
kicks off, and you're just like, your heart is breaking for that guy.
Yeah, it was fun College World Series.
College World Series. It was awesome.
Yeah. So you guys get through Kempsville, right? You have that the trenches open up, so to speak. And then after that, when you're in the state tournament, right? Like, talk to me about the mentality.
Region championship.
Well, no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But you're clinched in the state tournament.
Yeah. So
region title comes around.
Now we're up against Cox, and the next game is for home or away, and it's a big game because we're going to either face an underdog team from Region B and Kickotan, who's kind of gotten hot, but they're still a kind of a big underdog team from their region.
And to kind of set the table too, Cox defeated Ocean Lakes twice in the regular season.
They just had beat us about 2 weeks ago, 2-1 in a barn burner earlier on in the year, late in the season, and then had beaten us in the beginning of the season pretty good.
So now we're in the region championship.
So now we're region championship.
Game 3 against Cox.
Game 3, and they won the first 2. And it's a pitcher's duel. It's 0-0. We scratch one across late. We scratch one across early in the game, and then it looks like we're going to hang on late. And then in the bottom of the 7th, with 2 outs, their 8-hole guy is up, and we throw him a 3-2 curveball with a runner on third, and he just flips one into center field. Just a great piece of hitting.
Wow.
And so they tie it up, and they've got all the momentum.
Wow.
And they go, and so now we go top of the 8th, and we just scrap it. Again, we get a walk, we get a hit by pitch, we get a base hit, we get another walk, we bunt a guy over, and before you know it, we've scratched 2 across, and then we bring in this little sidearm guy. Our pitcher's out of pitches. We bring a little sidearm guy. Mitchell Byers comes in, and they've got the top of their lineup up, and he just goes zip, zip, zip. He goes pop up, soft line drive, and then kind of a soft pop up, and then there you go. You got the little old Ocean Lakes region champs. And so for us at that point in time, it just kind of opened up the state draw for us. We play kind of an up and coming hot Kickotan team, which, okay, or you play kind of a team that's been really good all year, Maury. And so Cox has got to go face Maury in a war, and we got to face the hot, Kickotan team, and that kind of went our way. But this certainly was, and then the next game, we get by Kickotan, and now we're in the state semis.
Yeah, now we're. Let's talk about that one. Now we have some footage.
Now we got some
of this one.
Mr. Parsons was there.
I was there. 6 games in one day, by the way. I want to make that clear.
Here we go.
Okay, so I'm thinking. So when you're shooting a baseball game like this, and there's other games going on simultaneously, you're like, okay, a lot of runs early is good. And I'm thinking, okay, so Coach, what's going on here? We're in the first inning.
Yeah, so we're in the bottom of the first, and their guy's a little bit wild. And actually, our guy, before you get to this, our guy in the top of the first was a little bit wild. They load up the bases, and we wiggle out of it. And so now we go to the bottom of the inning, and man, a couple of choppers go our way. We get a couple of base hits. We get a couple walks. We get a couple hit by pitches. We get a couple of wild pitches. Before you know it, it's 9-0 Dolphins.
Wow. First inning.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh my gosh, I remember that night.
And so my thought is right now is let me get my starting pitcher out of the game because I'm up 9-0.
Already? You were thinking that?
No, I said, let me go take him out so he can pitch tomorrow in relief. Let me go take him out, except he had to stay under 25 pitches in that first. Remember, I told you he was a little wild in the first inning. He threw 26 pitches.
Oh, no.
And so he needed to be 25 or under, so I couldn't take him out.
Okay, so you just rolled with him.
So I had to roll with him, and then sure enough, in the top of the second, after we're up 9-0, he decides he's not going to throw strikes, just to kind of match their pitcher. And of course, he's not doing this on purpose, but he's just a little off, and the zone is tight. And now we just happened to catch an umpire that had a tight zone, and it was tight for both ways. Yeah. Their team walked 12, we walked 9.
Wow.
And so now all of a sudden, a 9-0 game is now 9-4.
Yeah.
And then they get a flare base hit. Now it's 9-6, and we could make a pitch and change, and we bring in a little freshman, a little lefty, because he's always throws strikes, and now he's not throwing strikes. And so now, before you know it, it's 9-8, and you're just shaking your head, and you're like,
what inning are we talking?
Yeah, now it's the third.
Okay, wow.
So you're thinking this is a comfortable entry into the state championship game, to thinking that. Yeah. Are we going to blow this?
Yeah. And then after it was 9-6, we had a quick talk in the dugout, and our talk was about this. Look, if after 2 innings we had said we were up 3 runs, would we be okay? And when we said, you daggone right we would. If we were up 3, even though it's 9-6, even though it felt like we gave 6 away, we'll take it. If we're up 3. So now we just kind of refocused in, and they're out of pitching. They pitched their guy on Tuesday, and they're 2-3 pitchers in. So we know that they're deep into their staff. So we got a chance to kind of go in, and we know the zone's tight. And so now we just kind of build it. And now we go 9-8. They kind of they wiggle out of an end, and we got bases loaded, and we hit a rocket at somebody, and they wiggle out of a bases loaded jam. So now in the bottom of the third, they score 2 to make it 9-8. But we feel okay because their pitching is. Is on to down pitchers.
But we did talk about momentum earlier, and they had obviously Riverbend has the momentum. They
had all the momentum, and then here comes again the tight strike zone. Our guys are disciplined at the plate. They take their walks when they come. They take their hit by pitches, and then it's some timely hitting and some good base running. And before you know it, now here we go. We start to pull away. Now it's 10-8, and now it's 12-8, and now it's 13-8. And, it finally got to the point where it was 15-10, and it still felt like a 15-10 game really weird feels like it's 2-1.
One-run game,
It feels like it's a one-run game.
Right.
And then in the top of the bottom of the 6th, we ended up scoring 2 on a key base hit by Brady Nagel. And when we got those last 2, it just felt like we could take a breath and that we were gonna be okay.
Yeah, 17-10 was the final, right?
Yeah. It was a late interception for a touchdown. That really got us.
When it's 9-0, there's at the same time, all this was going on. It was a Deep Run High School. Was that where we were?
Yeah.
And so they have softball, soccer, and baseball all going on simultaneously. So once Coach Zell's team puts up the 9 spot in the first inning, I'm like, well, this is great. Now I can go over to the Kellum game and get some highlights from the soccer game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always kind of peering over to kind of see what the score is, and I looked over and it was 9-8. And
what the heck happened?
Tapped somebody next to me. I was like, "You're not going to believe this, but Ocean Lakes, they're kind of losing it right now."
I think I walked over to the game with you. I had to go back. I said, fellas, I left you guys in charge for a minute.
Yeah,
no, what are we doing?
So the interesting thing here is, so you with 17-10, that was the final?
17-10, like an over 3-hour game, and it was like today out there in the heat.
Yeah.
It was like 190. Outside. So we get that hot game, middle of the day. Your guys are spent. They're taxed mentally. They're taxed physically. And now you got to turn it around. And you got to play at 11 a.m. the next morning for the state championship against one of your arch rivals.
Did you guys have a nice hotel up there?
We did. You did. Yeah, just Hampton Inn.
Okay, yeah, good.
So, it was fine.
Should we take a break and come back and talk the actual state championship game? Where are we at time-wise? Do you think we could take...
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll
take a break with more with Coach Pete Zell of Ocean Lakes High School right after this.
Okay, we're back on Sportswrap Overtime. You see the crew: Jeff Snyder, Craig Loper, Pete Zell, Brian Parsons here. Coach, we're just getting into it. So you booked your ticket to the state championship. You got Cox for a 4th time in the season. We're talking about the mindset going into that game. You said it was 11 in the morning. You had the rough one before. Yeah. What was the mindset going into the state title game?
Our mindset going into it is get these guys some rest. Get them some Gatorades, get them some food, and let's just get everybody off your feet. And I said, because it's game on tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're thinking. And we know these guys. They know us. We know them. Right. So this is nothing new. This is nothing new. So we're not going over game plans.
Right.
We know it.
Yeah.
They know that they have theirs. We have ours. We know what we're going to see on the mound.
Right.
They know what they're going to see. And so now you're just trying to make sure you guys are fresh and ready.
You just kind of answered it for us. I was going to say, what was the pitching situation going into the state title game?
Oh,
yeah. So we pitched 2 guys on the Friday game against Riverbend, and now on Saturday I've got 2 of our guys left. I got Luke Ellison, I got Mitchell Byers, and so those 4 guys have kind of been our horses over there. I've got Trey Hamilton if I need him, but the guys that have really done it for us. And now I got a little lefty, Luke Ellison. And I got my little side armor, Mitchell Byers.
Okay.
So that's what we're going into it, and knowing that we got 2 horses.
I think that the Ellison story is very interesting, though. A little more on that is that he hadn't been on the mound in quite a while.
Yeah, 15 days he hadn't been on the mound, and it just was, with some of the games that we had been playing in the last part of the season had gone really well for us, and so we had won a bunch of games in 5 innings. And so, when he was pitching in relief one day, or when he was maybe we weren't playing a top team and we were pitching the freshman Aiden Skalski, or Byers is in there to get some time. And so Ellison just, who's really a seasoned veteran. He's only a junior, but he had pitched in the Great Bridge game in the regional semifinals last year that took us to state. He had pitched a bunch of big games as a freshman for us, so he is seasoned.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking the final score of this game was 2-1, correct?
2-1,
and
9 innings.
Extra innings.
Yeah, extra.
This was crazy.
A nip and tuck game. Snyder, if we could please roll,
of course,
roll the video clip here we have of this game.
Class 5 state championship.
It's deep run, 11 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't too hot at this point, right, Coach? Not yet.
No, not yet.
So
talk to us about how this one unfolded, Coach.
So pitchers do early. Ellison's on the mound. He's dealing for us, and then they've got Cox got Ben Coblock on the mound, 21 there, and he's throwing a really nice game. And it's kind of back and forth. Cox ends up,
there's Ellison.
Yeah, Ellison's our little lefty. So Cox ends up scratching one run in the fourth or fifth, first and third, 2 outs, and their guy hits a ball between first and second, a little squibber that's just perfectly placed. We field it, go to throw him out at first base, and he just beat it out over there. So they sneak this run across.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go to the sixth inning where we end up tying it.
That's going to be coming up after this play, I believe.
Okay.
Here we go.
Here is the double by Connor Mays with a run first and 2 outs in the bottom of the sixth. So as this play is happening, you can't see the Cox second baseman had just kind of lost his bearings for a second. And our little we're out at home.
Yes.
We're out at home. Zach Waterman gets thrown out at home. But during the play, the Cox second baseman had kind of drifted into no man's land, and our guy that was coming around second base, Zach Waterman, ran into him, and the umpire sticks out his arm, and he's got this arm out, and that's a delayed dead ball interference call.
Wow.
And so as I saw the umpire make the call, I know that I'm free to wheel my guy home.
Wow.
And with no penalty.
So you saw that in the moment.
I saw
and
it.
It was clicked.
I saw it happen, and I saw the umpire stick the arm out, so I know we've got the call. So now we're free. We're safe at home.
It's a free play in football. It's like offsides.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So now it's 1-0.
Yes, and so
or 1-1.
1-1, and then they wiggle out of that inning, and now we go into the ninth. So this is the play in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
Bases loaded, one out. Ryan Goshio hits a shallow fly ball to center field.
Wow.
G. Casher comes in. He's our pinch runner for Grayson Welsh.
Yeah.
Grayson Welsh had led off the inning with the walk, and then we slide in on a close one. And here we are, Ocean Lake's first ever baseball state champion, and the celebration continues.
Coach, when that ball's hitting the right and it's up in the air, like, explain the emotions in that moment where it's hanging up in the air and you're going to have it shot here, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I'm like, Ryan, hit it deeper, dude. What are we doing, man? That is a shallow fly ball.
Yeah.
I'm just like, so it's 1 out and bases loaded, and we are going to make them throw us out at home. If we're out at home, so be it. And their guy did a great job getting behind it. Their guy did a great job throwing it, and we just happened to have a really fast kid in G. Casher, and he kind of slides in there. To get the win, and it was just deep enough by Goshio. So
what goes through your mind when you see all this celebration with your kids?
Man, you just what goes through your mind is the grind. Because we were one of 7 or 8 teams that could have won it. There are a bunch of good teams from our area. Cox FC, Great Bridge, Hickory, Independence could have won it. Maury could have won it, and then of course Cox as well. And we're in the mix with all of these teams. But now here comes the grind, and we got there last year. We got a good taste of it last year by beating Great Bridge in regional semis, beating FC in the regional finals, and then in the state quarters last year we end up really not playing very well in the first game. Maury gets us 7-6, but now we've got a good taste of it, and most of our guys are back, and so now we're a little more prepared for this next time around.
Yeah,
and so. And then a couple of things just kind of go your way. Their guys. We get a strike zone where their guy's a little bit off, our guy's a little bit off, but their guy in the Riverbend game, he was more off than our guy.
Yeah.
And the Kickotan game, we just happened to catch that hot team over there from them, but maybe that was kind of running out of magic at the time for them. And then we just get Cox, and we had just beat them in the regional finals, so it's not like. We haven't done this before. We beat these guys just a minute ago, and so our guys are coming and walking in with a little bit of confidence.
But winning the state title, if you look at in the 757 this particular year, we're talking Jamestown boys soccer,
Pocosin
girls soccer, Northampton boys soccer, the 75 the Eastern Shore, they count. And Ocean Lakes baseball. That's it.
Yeah.
From the 757 for spring sports and soccer, softball, and baseball. That is it. That just illustrates how difficult it is to win a state championship.
Yeah, but if you just go back and look at the last 5 years, though, you've got Cox in 21, you got Cox in 23, you got FC in 24, and you got Ocean Lakes in 25.
Yeah.
It just kind of tells you that.
And there was a Pocosin and a York in there as well.
So we play good baseball around here. And so, when you're tested from the 757, you're coming out tested. And, whether it's a Kempsville or a Princess Anne or a Lansdowne, some of these teams that you're playing that are, kind of, maybe the upper middle pack of your stuff, everybody's district isn't kind of loaded like that. So when you're tested, you're ready.
Yeah.
Ocean Lakes now coached 12, 13 years there. I mean, when you win it for the first time, like, do you think about those first couple years of like building this program and how it was all unfolding? Your former players, like what goes through your mind from that? Like, take me back. Like, how do you feel in that moment?
Well, first of all, you love it for the guys that grind. You got the Chris Barnhart, the wrestling coach over here. You got Gary Spedden, the old coach at Ocean Lakes. A lot of us are just grinders. And we're field guys, we're field rats, and we're out there and just, we're in the summertime, we're working, we're in the wintertime, we're working, we're lifting weights, we're conditioned, we're doing all these things with these guys. And, we have good teams, but maybe on paper, our teams aren't always the favorites.
Okay.
And so when you appreciate that you've got enough talent that you can win, but you just appreciate how much your guys are willing to kind of go extra and do extra and kind of overcome maybe not being the favorites over there, but just kind of having this kind of ability to kind of rise up and pull yourself up. And then you just go back and think about the guys that had come before you. We're back at Salem. It was the Buffington, Spears, Minters of the world over there. Those guys were great players. And it's funny, their kids are getting ready to come play for me. That's
how it goes.
That's how old I'm getting.
Right.
And then you get the DeMartinis and the Johnny Walls of the world over there, and the Noah Nosses and the Micah Singers that have played for me here at Ocean Lakes. And, those guys just kind of set the standard. And they've set the standard that this is how we work. This is how we go. And, and then, they just kind of, everybody's just made it a little bit better for the next guy.
What's the dyed hair deal with the team?
So,
obviously, there's a theme going on here.
Yeah, so the dyed hair.
And you joined in.
I saw that.
Yeah, so, my problem is my hair just grows on the inside now, not on the outside. So, but the dyed hair thing started last year, and obviously we won the regional title last year, and we get to the playoffs, and everybody's going to dye their hair to, kind of be in unison. And so, again, not a mandate, but strongly encouraged. And so this year we go to the regionals, and I'm like, fellas, are we dyeing hair again this year? What's going on? I'm in. And they're like, Coach, we're not doing it until we get to the state. And so I said, okay, tough guys.
The stake, raising the stake.
Yeah. So we just set it up. So then this year it was, once we won the Kempsville game that put us in the state, now it was time to dye hair.
Okay.
And then it starts with the Cox, the Cox regional final. And then, again, probably 90% of our guys dyed the hair.
Yeah.
And then we're on it. And so, we're all just kind of in unison and, and
baseball, I feel like baseball guys kind of hang on. It's always something like that, like bring people together / a little bit superstitious at the same time.
Yeah, a lot superstitious.
The team moms were busy for a couple nights dyeing everybody's hair.
We've got the necklaces that the catcher's sister makes for everybody.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, so these are just super cool.
Yeah.
So you had a player, Carson DeMartini, was drafted in the 4th round last year by the Philadelphia Phillies, and he's kind of on the fast track. And we were just talking, he just recently got promoted to Double-A, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So he has a great season in Low A after the draft. And then this year he starts off in High A. He's in, was he Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore.
Yeah, so he's in High A, and he leads the team in every offensive category. He's, he's hitting 280. He's got, 6 or 7 bombs. He's got leading the team in RBIs. And he is just going, and then Bryce Harper gets hurt. And so you're like, how is Bryce Harper affecting Carson? Well, what happens is Bryce Harper goes up, Otto Kemp comes up from AAA, and then somebody bumps up from AA, and Carson goes from High A to AA, and now he's in Reading, and actually he's coming in town this week, and he's playing the Flying Squirrels. What a great name!
Yeah,
and you're going to go see him a couple of times.
Go see him, Wednesday, Thursday this week.
What's the difference? The biggest difference he's going to face between High A pitching and AA pitching.
Yes. So what he's going to see is all these guys from Low A all the way up to the big leagues. Everybody's throwing 95 to 100, but the difference is location. Those guys just spot it and dot it the higher up you get. And so when you see the AA guys, they're just going to be sharper and able to locate better than the single A guys. And then the AAA guys are even better. And then you get to the big leagues, and then you're
Best.
They put it where they want to, whenever they want.
I have his stats up in front of me if you want it. He's adjusting okay. 229 batting average, 327 on base.
He just got there too, right?
He's up 2 weeks, and he had a great first week, and then he had kind of a slow off second week. So
I remember watching Carson. Brian did a story on him, and I think I just see a couple of the highlights. But then when he got to Tech is when I really kind of paid attention. The thing that always impressed me about him is how much power he produces for his frame. Like he's they say wiry strong in sports, kind of sometimes is an overused term, but he is wiry because he's not the biggest guy.
No, he's got 195 pounds.
He's got pop, and he's I don't know. I was impressed with his strength and his power for his size. Is what
he's your sneaky strong guy. We call those guys ant strong, right?
Right.
They're skinny,
yes.
and they can lift all this weight, and so he's done a great job with Max Waring and kind of his lifting over there program. But he was a power hitter in high school.
Yeah.
His senior year, he had 7 home runs in 10 games.
Yep.
In that COVID times, and and then he goes to college and he has that freshman All-American year.
Yeah.
And it just takes off.
Helped get Tech to a super regional.
And then I think in his 3 years of college, I think he ended up setting the Tech ACC record. I think he ended up like 46 home runs in his 3 years over there, and that was all the while his sophomore year. Remember, he had a labrum tear. He dove for a ball. No, he was sliding into second.
Ooh.
He slides into second. He tries to do the swim move, pull his arm back, and go around. And as he goes around, tears his labrum in his throwing hand.
Yeah.
And so now he can't even play the second. And this is how tough he is. In the second part of the season, he just ends up hitting the second part of the season with a torn labrum.
Did he bat left, throw right?
He bat left, throw right.
Okay, right.
And so he's just able to kind of grind, and that's just kind of what tough kid that he is.
Yeah.
And so obviously he's been super successful, but he did kind of have a slow week last week. So hopefully he's got all of his fans coming up to Richmond this week, and we'll get him back on track.
All right, Coach.
Still adjusted.
Michael Kadire.
Yeah.
David Wright. Mark Reynolds.
Yeah.
Ryan Zimmerman.
Yeah.
BJ Upton.
Yeah.
Justin Upton.
Yeah. Legends.
What in the world is going on?
Yeah.
How, in that concentrated period of time, was Hampton Roads able to produce these types of major league stars?
Yeah, just a perfect anomaly. The storm had come, the baseball storm. So, and then you just had some great coaching in Townie Townsend and his crew over there that had really just done a great job of taking really good players and then challenging them to be elite players. And then just and then you as you see it, there were some guys that overlapped with each other. There were a couple guys that were a couple years ahead, a couple years behind, but it just felt like every year there was a guy that was a dude coming through, and then they all end up making it to the big leagues. And I think at one point in time, weren't there like 5 big league third basemen that were all from our area over there? And so we got 20% of the big league team.
That's crazy.
Were all the third basemen. It was it was nuts.
Yeah.
And so just a testament to again, first Townie Townsend and the players. They're just phenomenal players. And then just these just kind of a perfect storm of guys. And to me, it makes me think of the Holiday guys that are coming right now. You got Matt Holliday, who was a legend.
Yes.
Right.
And then Jackson Holliday, who's been really good, but he's young and coming. And then here comes the first round pick this year. And that's going to be Ethan Holliday.
Yeah.
And he is.
Guess who has the number 1 pick?
Yeah, the net with Nats.
The Nationals.
They got it.
And so they will, again, I'm sure if the price is right, and how baseball comes to the price.
It was so funny. So I was covering years ago. I was covering LSU baseball, and they had the draft during the regional, and I hated it so much because I had to ask these guys. I'm like, hey, what do you think about getting drafted? And they're like, hey, I'm playing the regional, but they finally moved it a couple of years ago. I was like, thank God.
Oh wow, I didn't know they did that.
During
so
the
they moved it back
regionals, like 3 or 5, 6 years ago at this point. Now
Correct.
they moved it to after the College World Series. So much better.
Yeah, late, early, mid July.
So much
instead,
better.
but it was going. You're right. It was going on like during regional play, and you get drafted, and then you're still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about your headspace.
Yeah, that's what I mean. College kids.
They made it part of All-Star Week, right? Yeah.
Crazy.
So, but it's great, and so it just that time. I don't know. I'm sure that there's some other places, and I would have to guess that those places would be where major league cities are. But that time was just, that was the golden era.
And sprinkle in a Verlander. I mean, ODU.
Yeah, he was okay.
From Goochland, and Orenduff was went to Chesapeake. He went to VCU. He had some injury problems, but I mean, that game when, I don't know if you remember the game, Coach, you probably do, but it was VCU against Old Dominion. It was Justin Orenduff against Justin Verlander, and they packed the Bud Metheny Sports Stadium, and it was just a magical game. And Orenduff, I guess, had some injuries, but he could have been there. He could have been there.
Yeah,
he could have been one of the guys.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, and I mean, in Verlander's just obviously legendary.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
I was going Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Not many pitchers win an MVP.
No.
Did he get one?
He did get one.
Yeah, yeah.
How many won? How many?
That's a good
Just
question.
a handful, I'm sure.
Willie Hernandez, I think, in the 80s. And there was another one, I think. Did Clemens win an MVP? I can't remember.
I don't know. I know Bobby Shantz did.
King Felix that one year. Felix Hernandez got one.
Pedro had a crazy year one year where his ERA was, something like 20-2.
What are you teaching right now?
I'm teaching health and phys ed at Ocean Lakes.
So how many more years left for you on the teaching front?
This is year 33 for me that I'm finishing up, and I've got 15 more. I mean, I love it, man.
Okay.
They treat me great at Ocean Lakes. They give you a bunch of support. We got a great place to play, and like I was telling you just a minute ago, you got some of my old players and their kids getting ready to come to me. So that's
motivation to keep going too.
Yeah. But
what's the difference between a student 25 years ago versus a student now?
Difference nowadays is just you need to explain why. If you haven't changed your coaching technique, you can't just unconditionally say, do this because I said so.
Right.
And today, this is why we do it.
Yeah.
This is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And so that's just the major difference. Then parents, are kind of different nowadays, and you explain to them why. And as long as they give them reasonable answers, they're okay.
Yeah.
All right. People complain a lot about the parents, and a lot of parents are difficult nowadays. But 98% of the parents are great.
Right.
And 98% of parents just want you to be good to their kids. And coach them tough, and coach them hard, and so they don't mind that. So I mean, that's to me the biggest difference is the why.
Coach, I'm gonna tell you a quick funny story. We're gonna get out of here soon. I'm gonna tell you the reason I stopped playing baseball. Right, I was in 8th grade playing baseball. Babe Ruth back home, all this type of stuff, and I played baseball 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And I was getting pitched at one time, and there was a ball coming straight to my head, and I ducked to get out of the way, and I heard the umpire call strike. It was the first ever curveball I saw, and it made me quit after that. I was like, I don't know what that was, but I'm out of here. 9th grade, I switched over to track and field. I started running track. First ever breaking ball I saw. I vividly remember it.
Well, it's funny you say that because what you see all the time on TV is you see these major league guys, and you ask yourself all the time, why do these guys keep looking like they're going to get hit with the ball?
Yeah.
Why did it's because they don't want to Craig Looper it.
Yeah,
they don't want to get out of the way when that ball comes at them and the ball breaks. They got to stay in there.
It was terrible. I ducked and everything.
Yeah.
I ducked and everything.
So
First breaking ball I ever saw ran in on me.
Yeah. It
Hit me in the knee.
It was literally the reason. I was like, that was it.
All right, we are at the end of the line here.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for coming through. We appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your summer.
State champs. Coach for Ocean Lakes, Pete Zell, finally got it done. The grind, the hard work has paid off with the ultimate prize. Can you run it back?
Yeah, let's see what we can do. A cautionary tale to our guys. First Colonial was trying to run it back this year, and they had 12 seniors back, and I think we have 10 or 12 seniors back next year.
Wow, okay.
When we just losing 2 or 3 kind of key players.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We will not let that be a cautionary tale for us.
Back to back.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you guys.
Sports Wrap Overtime. That's it. We'll see you next time.